The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town, a skeletal silhouette against the bruised twilight sky. When my Aunt Ilara passed away, she left it to me, her only living relative. I'd only visited a few times as a child, and my memories were hazy, filled with the scent of dried lavender and the faint, constant ticking of a grandfather clock. The lawyer handed me a single ornate brass key and a letter from Ilara. Her handwriting was a shaky scroll. "Leo," it read, "the house is yours, but heed my warning. Never, ever uncover the mirrors. Not for any reason. Your life may depend on it." A strange warning, but I brushed it off as the ramblings of an old woman. Grief does strange things to people. The first thing I noticed when I stepped inside was the silence. The grandfather clock was gone. The air was thick with the dust of forgotten years. And true to her word, every mirror in the house was shrouded. Thick velvet cloths, mostly a deep burgundy, were draped over the bathroom mirror, the hallway mirror, even the small, decorative one in the entryway. They were tied down with heavy twine, as if to prevent an accidental unveiling. It was creepy, but I was more focused on the monumental task of cleaning the place out. The first few days were uneventful. I sorted through boxes of old photographs, stacks of books, and furniture that seemed to sigh under the weight of history. The covered mirrors were a constant, unsettling presence. I'd catch their shrouded forms in my peripheral vision, and my heart would skip a beat. I started talking to myself just to break the suffocating silence. "Just an eccentric old lady," I'd mutter, while dusting off a porcelain doll with vacant eyes. By the fourth night, curiosity had started to gnaw at me. I was in the master bedroom, a grand, cold room with a 4-poster bed. A massive, floor-to-ceiling mirror stood against one wall, its shape obvious beneath a heavy, black sheet. Why? What was she so afraid of? Was it a superstition? A game? My hand twitched, wanting to just peek. Just a little. But her warning echoed in my mind. Your life may depend on it. I backed away and decided to sleep in one of the smaller guest rooms instead. That night I had the first dream. I was standing in the master bedroom in front of the large mirror. But in the dream, it was uncovered. My reflection stood there, but it wasn't me. It was twisted. Its smile was too wide. Its eyes were hollow pits of darkness. It beckoned to me, its fingers long and spider-like. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart hammering against my ribs. The house was silent, but it felt like something was watching me. The next day I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I found Aunt Ilara's diary tucked away in a knit-stand drawer. I opened it, hoping for answers. The entries were normal at first, detailing her gardening, her trips to the local market. But then the tone shifted. It started again. One entry read, "The scratching, it comes from the glass. I see him in the periphery, a man with a crooked smile. He wants to come out. He says he's me, but the better version." Further in, her writing became more frantic. "I can't look anymore. He whispers things, terrible things. He knows my fears. He wears my face, but his eyes are not human. I have to cover them, all of them. It's the only way to keep him trapped." A chill ran down my spine. Trapped? Trapped where? In the mirrors? It sounded like psychosis, a complete break from reality. Poor Ilara. She must have been so lonely, so scared in this big, empty house. My sympathy for her overshadowed my fear. This wasn't a monster. It was a manifestation of her mental illness. Understanding this, I felt a new resolve. I needed to let the light in to cleanse the house of her delusions and her sadness. I decided to start small. The bathroom mirror. It was the least intimidating. My hands trembled as I fumbled with the coarse twine. It was knotted tight a dozen times over. It took me a full 5 minutes with a pair of scissors to cut it all away. Finally, the heavy cloth fell to the floor with a soft thud. For a moment, I just stared. It was just a mirror. A bit grimy, but normal. My own reflection stared back, pale and a little spooked. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding, and even managed a weak laugh. See? Nothing. Just an old mirror. I splashed some water on my face. Looking at my reflection as I did, everything was perfectly normal. I felt foolish for being so scared. That night I felt brave enough to sleep in the master bedroom. I left the large mirror covered. No need to push my luck all at once. I fell into a deep, dreamless sleep, the first I'd had in days. But I was woken up by a sound, scratch, scratch, scratch. It was faint, but unmistakable. It sounded like fingernails dragging on glass. My blood ran cold. The sound was coming from the bathroom down the hall. I sat up in bed, listening. The scratching stopped. Then a soft, whispery voice drifted from the hallway. It sounded like my own voice, but distorted, mocking. "Leo, you let me see you. Now I know your face." Panic seized me. I scrambled out of bed and slammed the bedroom door shut, locking it. I stood with my back against the wood, listening. Silence. Had I imagined it? Was the stress getting to me? I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning I found the bathroom door, which I had left open, was now closed. My heart pounded as I pushed it open. Everything looked normal, except for one thing. On the surface of the mirror, a message was scrawled in the condensation, as if someone had breathed on it and written with their finger. Soon, I ran out of the bathroom, out of the house, and didn't stop until I was halfway to town. I sat on a park bench for hours, trying to process what was happening. It couldn't be real. It was a prank. Someone was messing with me, but who and how? Returning to the house felt like walking into a tomb. I had to know for sure. I had to prove to myself that I was either going insane or that there was a rational explanation. My eyes fell on the last, largest mirror in the master bedroom, still covered in its black shroud. Aunt Elara's final warning was about this one. This was the main event. My mind was a whirlwind of her diary entries, a scratching sounds, the whispered voice, the message on the glass. Was I really going to do this? Curiosity and a desperate need for answers won out over my terror. With shaking hands, I approached the colossal mirror. I didn't bother with the knots this time. I grabbed the bottom of the sheet and with a single violent motion, ripped it away. The mirror was ancient and ornate, its silvering tarnished at the edges, and in it I saw the reflection of the room behind me. The bed, the window, the door. Everything was normal. I saw my own reflection, looking terrified. I stared for a full minute, waiting. Nothing, just me. Relief washed over me, so potent it made me dizzy. It was all in my head. All of it. I turned away from the mirror, ready to laugh at my own foolishness. As I turned, my eyes caught the reflection again, and my heart stopped. In the mirror, I was still standing there, facing the glass. I hadn't turned. I froze, my back to the mirror, but my eyes were locked on the reflection. My reflection. It slowly turned its head to look back at me out of the mirror. It gave me a slow, horrifying smile, the same crooked, too wide smile from my dream. Its eyes were black, empty voids. "Thank you," it whispered, its voice a perfect mimicry of my own, but cold, dead. It was so dark in there, so lonely. It raised a hand and pressed its palm against the surface of the mirror from the inside. The glass rippled like water. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I could only watch as my doppelganger, my reflection, began to push its way through the glass. Its fingers emerged first, pale and waxy, then its hand, its arm. It was climbing out of its world and into mine. With a final surge of adrenaline, I broke free from my paralysis. I didn't look back. I sprinted out of the room, down the stairs, and burst out the front door. I ran and ran, the sound of shattering glass echoing behind me, followed by a laugh that sounded exactly like my own, full of malice and newfound freedom. I never went back. I left everything behind. The police investigated, of course. They found the house empty, with every mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces. They listed my aunt's house as abandoned. Sometimes, late at night, I'll catch a glimpse of my reflection in a dark window, and for a terrifying second I see that crook's smile. I don't own any mirrors now. I can't, because I know what's looking back, and I know it's still out there, wearing my face, waiting